Hi, welcome to the Gen X Glam and Gab channel here on YouTube. It is great to see everyone, whether you're new, whether you're coming back. Thanks so much for tuning in. I know there are a lot of choices out there, and you're hanging out with me here at the Gen X Glam and Gab channel, where I do a little bit of glam and a little bit of gab. This video is going to be I'm back from vacation. Guess what happened? Maybe you can tell. One of the things that happened is I got sick and I lost my voice. And it is not from screaming at any concerts. It's not from screaming at all. I cannot believe I went on vacation. And I got sick. Like, of all the times to get sick, I never get sick. I never call in sick. You may find that hard to believe. Probably not if you've been tracking me for a while, because I try to be here for you. It's like, if you're going to get sick, why do you get sick on vacation? Why? You're on vacation. Why not get sick when you're like at work and you can call in sick? Anyway, let's try to get through this video. I'm going to keep it real, all right? This is what's going to happen. You're going to get the recap. You're going to get the peaks and you're going to get the lows, right, of vacation. And I would say that there were more peaks because I actually got to hook up with family. I saw some majestic sights of nature. I saw some surreal sights of human nature. And I saw some lows. Getting sick was definitely a low. So let's just start off with where I went. All right, the crust of the vacation was to start off out west in Arizona, check out the Grand Canyon, which I have not seen. And in my, I don't know, naivety of a mind, I thought that it was just like a hole in the ground. I really thought it was just this big like crater. Okay, please don't judge me. And I get there and it's this 218-mile long, 18-mile wide, just like beautiful carve out of the earth, billions of years old when you looked at, like looking down and like literally drilling down into the earth, billions year old rock, right? It was just so beautiful. So hanging out at the Grand Canyon, right? Driving through the desert, flew into Vegas, drove to Grand Canyon, drove back to Vegas, hooked up with family, hung out, and come back home. So we land in Vegas. And guess what? All luggage comes off the belt. Where's our luggage? Nowhere to be found. When is our luggage going to be found? Maybe 2 to 3 days. That's half the vacation. And if you think about people that come to Vegas, sometimes they just come for a few days. And that would be like their whole vacation. So we're like, okay, whatever. We file all the whatever we have to file nowadays. It's like scanning QR codes, right? And we have to leave the airport with literally what's in our carry-on bag, which is not much, my friends, which is not much. Luckily, I did have a few shirts. I had extra pair of pants, some underwear, socks, all that extra. And luckily, I had went through my GLAM the night before and made a tiny little, Ziploc baggie that, you have to like have all of your like liquids and creams sort of like carved out right before you go through security. Otherwise, you're going to be like that guy or that girl. And so I had carved out, I took out like my Airline, like mini 3 milliliter samples of eye and face cream. I had my little 5 milliliter Airline triple lift serum, my 2 little Tarte creamy creaseless, like whatever touch ups. I had my Kaja peach touch up because I didn't want to travel with, and I don't know if I can put my hands on it, my Huda Beauty faux concealer in pomelo pink, because this thing always sorry, you might get some throat clearings in this one, because this thing is so messy. And is this the one that I wiped down? But it inevitably stains the inside of my travel kits. So I was like, you know what? And I'm just going to show you how close this Kaja pink, like color corrector is, peach pink, to the Huda Beauty pomelo pink. Like, okay, we'll just go on the chin. It's so close. It is just so close. And I am so thankful. Now I'm looking for something to wipe this off my face. I'm so thankful that I had some color correctors, because the first couple of days before I actually like repurchased, and I'm going to show you, like, this is going to be a get ready with me using what I had salvaged. Now I just look orange. What I had salvaged in my, that's not where I normally put that, where I had salvaged you know, what skincare and the little stuff that I was going to bring through airport security, and what I had to repurchase. I did also have my, what's left of my Charlotte Tilbury Invisible UV Flawless Poreless Primer SPF 50. I had my little Magic Vanish from Charlotte Tilbury in the shade 01, which can make you a base in like a second. And thankfully, I had my setting powder. I also had a couple of these different sponges with me. I had my Thank You Barb W shade 800 L'Oreal nude lipstick, which, you know, if you've watched my videos before, I've shared from like back in the day when I didn't have all this fancy stuff. Fancy. Yeah. This wide collection of goodies, of glam goodies. I would just use my lipstick, my Think Bronze from Clinique, and I would just go all over my face with that after I did my skincare and make a monochromatic Think Bronzy look. Or let's just get rid of that, because that's normally where I use that peach-esque color corrector is under my eyes. All right, let's get into it. Let's do the skincare. So yeah, and now we're gonna have to cut into these babies because I was soaking as much as I could get out of them. Let's start with the under eye. I might have enough under eye cream left. Maybe. I might have enough of my Guerlain. This is from the Orchard Imperial collection of under eye and face cream. I did not. I just had to cut the bottom to get some of this out. This stuff is, if you're new to my channel, the reason I'm doing this, well, because I do want to show you what resources I had and what I used and what's left of it before I got my stuff. But this little 3 milliliter sample from Guerlain is actually worth around, it's $12 a milliliter, so over $30 little sample. So yeah, I'm gonna cut it open to make my point here. But so now it's a lot. I know it's a lot to track on this one, but we're just going to do our best. So let's get the skincare down with the skincare I had at hand. And then I'm going to go into, after I get my skincare down, we're going to finish the face with some of the stuff that I bought. But I mean, we were just going to nature, right? We're going to the Grand Canyon. We're not going to some fashion show, as I like to say. I didn't need a red carpet look. And so I wasn't too stressed, really, because I had skincare. That's sometimes literally all I care about. As long as I have, I didn't repurchase any skincare, right? I knew I was going to get my stuff in like 3 days. And I knew I had enough of my Guerlain samples to last me 3 days. So I didn't really care so much about that. But only having the one lipstick to give myself a pop of color, I needed a little bit more than that. And so when I finally did get to a drugstore after, I'd say, I don't know, a day and a half, because we had to transit from like Las Vegas to Arizona to get to the Grand Canyon. We stopped at a CVS along the way, and I restocked, and I will show you what I restocked. I was so happy to restock my Power Grip setting spray from e.l.f. because I was out. I was out when I left Ottawa, and I was sort of on this like underconsumption bandwagon. And I was like, you know what? I have so many setting sprays. They're all like packed and ready to go. I'm not going to repurchase, but so it gave me a chance to repurchase. So if you're faced with this dilemma, as I was, okay, I'm going to have to repurchase some stuff. Sad panda. Not really. Was super excited about that. I was very strategic about what I repurposed. I'm like, I saw all the stuff in the drugstore aisles that were my faves. And I was like, it's to resist from having to buy some of my faves. Unless it was a fave that I had run out of and I wanted to restock anyway. I bought a couple more of the tap and blend brushes from e.l.f. I think I have like 10 of these now. Yeah. Speaking of Barb W, I keep throwing her name out there because Barb W, along with like Jeanette, Belle, Sylvia, Amy, like all of you guys, like my OGers, like literally Jen's Hobby, from like when I first started launching videos, found my channel. And Barb W is like my little tipster out there on the local economy. And Barb, you've talked about this several times in several of your comments, and I have been sleeping on it because I have so many, you know, blusher creamer sticks, which by the way are my faves, right? I love these things over like a liquid blush. And I slept, and I love Physicians Formula, but I slept on buying this. It dropped about a year and a half ago, and Barb W raved about it in comments. And when I needed I needed the pop of color, and I definitely needed a creamy bronzer because those are like two of my jams. And it's a 2-in-1, and I know it's going to be creamy, and I know it's going to smell delicious because Physicians Formula stuff always smells like, I don't know, it smells like the beach. And so I thought of Barb W, and I'm like, yes, Barb, I'm going to do it. So it's a 2-in-1. Thank you for that. You were not wrong. I enjoyed you. I loved it. Even when I got my 3 makeup bags of additional skincare and makeup, I was like this, I don't know, makeup POW. I was still just hoarding and using what I had been using, you know, when I was down and out, when I didn't have all my stuff. All right, let's go in with, before I put that lip creme, I just did put some lip creme, Guerlain face cream on, but I do want to go in with some serum because I have a little bit of my triple lift serum in the 5 milliliter from Guerlain left. What else? I bought a 3-pack of these little e.l.f. sponges because they're all, I'm like so loving these sponges, which are a hybrid between a beauty blender and a powder puff. I keep showing you the one here from Cal Angle that I have bought, generic, you know, generic brand from Amazon, and the Tap That Puff from Sephora is the first one that I found of its kind. It's $12, a little bit more expensive, but I think it's worth it because it cleans up well. And Amazon has that Cal or Angle brand in multiple different sizes. So you can get the small size, you can get the medium size, and you can get the oversized. While I was in the drugstore aisle, I had a choice of everything. I restocked on the e.l.f. larger sponge, although the thing with the e.l.f.ies is that they're not, I don't feel like they're as bendy. They're as bendy as the Tap That Puff from Sephora or the generic ones from Amazon. All right, let's get the skincare done. I'm just going to go grocery shopping today. Oh my gosh, the kids, like we got home like around dinner time, and, you know, from this long journey. And yeah, so like, I guess I could break it down. It was like 17 to 20 hours of like flight and layovers and stuff, like, yeah, in a row. It's tough. It's tough. Like, wherever air travel nowadays, it just isn't going to get easier. It doesn't get easier. And we don't have any reason to believe it's ever going to get easier. It's just going to kind of be more, you know, for those of us that grew up of really uncomplicated. And if you remember going to the gate, or being greeted at the gate by family members way back in the day. Can you imagine that? We used to be able to go to the gate. Anyway, it's just not going to get any easier. But that aside, we made it back, and the kids are like, so what's for dinner? We're like, what's for dinner? They're like, we really don't have a lot of food left in the house. I'm like, shocker. All right, so let's get back to some more while that sits. What else? I kind of want to go through a little bit more. I mean, the peak, seeing the Grand Canyon was amazing. Like, gosh darn it. I think if you got a chance, you got to check it out, because it's just like, and especially when you watch the sunset and the sun come up, like that is even the more majestic views. That was just in itself amazing. And I wasn't sick during that portion of the trip. It was leaving Arizona and heading back towards Vegas. That first night in Vegas, I was like, oh man, I'm feeling it. And I'm like I said, I rarely get sick. So family members aren't necessarily used to me getting sick. And when I said, I was like, guys, the first night we were out hanging out, I was like, guys, I think I'm so, like, tomorrow I gotta find a doctor. Yes, I was that person in the group that was like, okay, I didn't end up in the hospital. Now I'm going in with the Kaja. This is in the shade peach. Actually, they don't call it peach. Oh, I want to say the catnip. I don't know. I can't read it. Anyway, it comes off as like that peachish look. Yes, I didn't have to go to the hospital. I wasn't that person in the group that was like, I got to go to the hospital. But I was that person that was like, I need to go to the doctor. So I didn't burden anybody else with my problems. I was just like, you know, I just researched. Oh, by the way, when I was in Arizona on the ride back from Arizona to Vegas, we stopped in Flagstaff and I got my hair colored there. Look, I got all my roots taken care of. Yeah, I just researched where the closest urgent care was to where we were staying. And I got up early on a Monday morning and I got myself to urgent care right when it opened. And it couldn't have been, I think it was like the easiest urgent care experience I've ever had. I was in and out of there in like an hour and 10 minutes. And that was going through, excuse me, I may lose my voice while we do this video, I hope not. And that was going through probably 5 stages of care, right? You walk in at the electronic kiosk, electronic one has a kiosk, not electronic, is like manual. Anyway, so I check in at the kiosk. Okay, I'm still a little brain clouded from the sickness, whatever it is I have getting over. I log in at the kiosk. I go sit down. 5 minutes, my name is called. I go give them my insurance stuff. I go sit down. And then like another, like not even 10 minutes, then my name is called. I get to go back in the secret area, the treatment rooms. I sit down. They do my vitals. They take my temp. I'm like, oh, I have a temperature. It was another thing. I never get a fever. And it was a low grade fever-ish. But that's with having medicine on board, because when I stopped to get all of this makeup, what else did I get? I got an e.l.f. brow pencil. Love it. It's not a micro tip, which I normally like, but this is a repurchase for me. I do like this particular e.l.f. brow pencil, and I got it in light brown. And so I was, again, like, it was something that I've had. It wasn't something new that I was trying, like the physician's formula stick, but it was something that I knew that I liked. And I also know that I like this for $4. If you need a brow serum and you need a lash glue, this is the way to go. And for another $4, I bought this cute little like e.l.f. Why doesn't it say e.l.f. on there? Anyway, I needed a pencil sharpener because the two lip liners I was rolling with were my Makeup Forever, my 2 favorites, Anywhere Caffeine and Wherever Walnut. So anyway, let's get back to the vital room. Okay, she pops me for a fever, but I had already medicines on board with me, so I was still popping a fever despite being medicated. Takes all my vinyls, gets my story, which was like I said, I was, had just come on. I told her when my symptoms started and how I came from really cold Sweden and came to this really dry, warm climate. So maybe it was, that, or, traveling, I just caught something. But I said, in a couple of days, I need to get back. I'm like, my throat, that was the main thing. My throat hurt so bad. And at that point, I could barely speak. Like, I scared myself. I got in that Uber and I was like so embarrassed he was going to kick me out. The guy to take me to the urgent care, but he was really nice and he was helping me like diagnose myself. Yeah. So anyway, they did a strep test, came back negative for strep. And I think that, and I had like the nicest, okay, so sorry, that was just like the vital room. Like she takes my story and then she says, okay, just hang out here. We're going to send like the doc in. So I'm like, great, this is where it's going to take an hour. Not at all, like 10 minutes. Like I barely had enough time to shoot out all the messages and update people on my status before the doc was like knocking on the door, kind of tell my story all over again, stressing that I'm only in town for a few days and I was going to be going to, several events and I like really needed to feel better. But more importantly, I needed to get back home. I needed to get on a plane. I needed to be able to travel. And so, tested me for strep. which I did not have. But I think because she told me, she's like, because you're still exhibiting lots of different symptoms, like you have the fever and the sore throat, and obviously you can't speak, I'm gonna prescribe you the Z-Pack. The Z-Pack is like that super powerful, like 5-day pills of antibiotics. And so I was like, thank you so much. So I got my script, and you know, you think like, okay, she's going to jump in the oops and she's going to get back to her hotel and join her group and start feeling better. Well, along the way, when I left the hotel, and again, like I was like, I mean, I did feel myself really unwell. And it all makes sense now that I find out, you know, when I get there that I have this fever. But I grabbed the giveaway bags. You know, I had brought 3 giveaways back, right, to give to folks. Sylvia, Mari, and Janelle all had giveaways like I was going to mail back. And so when I went to the Med Express, I grabbed the giveaway bags. They were all in this like cute little other bag, and it fit very well in my Lululemon tote. So I just grabbed all the bags of the bags and put them in the bag and got in the oobs. And as we're wheeling up to this Med Express, guess what's right bloody next door that I did not even know? I brought the giveaways because I thought, okay, after I do the urgent care, while I'm still conscious and functioning, I'll get back to the hotel, and or from the urgent care, I will Uber to the closest. I'll Uber to the closest U.S. post office, and I'll send out the giveaways, and then I'll go back to the hotel, and I'll totally pass out. Well, as we're wheeling up to the urgent care, pulling up, boom, there's a post office right next door. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is like fate. Like in my cloudy, like crazy fever brain, I had the presence of mind really to grab the giveaway bag, right? The bags of the bags, grab those and throw them in the tote. And so I make a mental note. I'm like, okay, it was walking distance from urgent care. So fast forward, I get out of urgent care, I got my script. I'm like feeling like, okay, there's light at the end of this tunnel. I'm going to get some meds. Like I'm not really that bad off. I don't even have strep. They didn't test me for COVID. Who knows? Scored a few masks, and there's a post office. So I go in the post office and I start like working on my labels, ask for some labels. Again, I'm like super horrified and embarrassed to even speak. Okay. I just am, because I don't sound very good, and I feel like I'm scaring people when I speak, but I get this is what I've been doing a lot to get like a really matte look. I've been taking my powder and putting it on my lips and then going over it with the lipstick, and then going over again with the lipstick with more powder, just to get like the super matte look going. So I get all the supplies I need, croak my way through asking for them, go over to my little corner and start preparing my bags. I write out my labels, I stick them on my padded envelopes, I stuff my stuff in, but like I will admit to you, why am I admitting this? Okay, wait, one more thing that I got. I got this Wet n Wild blush that like, I love this color. I don't have it in Wet n Wild because again, I know this is a lot of like, you got to stay with me, some fast forwarding and rewinding with the story, but I wanted to get a powdered blush when I was restocking. And so I ended up getting that one. So this is what I'm going to admit to you. I had to, God, please don't laugh at me. I had to watch my own videos, like because I had no attention span. I had no memory recall. Like I was not sharp. It's what I hate about being sick. Like, do you ever just feel dumb? Like just dumb when you're sick and you're just like, why am I so dumb? That's how I totally felt. And so I had to rewatch my own videos, guys, to figure out who I was supposed to give stuff to. And I'm normally like right on top of this anyway. So I'm rewatching my own videos and trying to like do my labels, whatever. I get it all. I had my little notebook. Where's my Hello Kitty notebook? That I thought was nearby. I had my little trusted notebook with the addresses for my peeps. I'm not going to show you for privacy reasons. So I had my addresses written in this notebook, my handy dandy notebook. I get the labels made out. I plop them on the padded envelopes. I get in line. And the gal who was working with me, she knew everybody that came in, okay? Hi, Mr. Wesley. Oh, so-and-so. Oh, so-and-so. Yes, I'll take your card because my kid's gonna be looking for a job. Thank you so much. Liked her a lot. Like, I was super impressed with workers, like especially like our government workers that take the time to get to know who their regulars are. I was like all impressed with this. One of the regulars, this sweet old man, so sweet, only came into the post office to drop off I love this, Barb W. I love this physician's formula stick. Just to give the folks that work at the post office donuts. Like, how cool is that? Like, anyway, but all of this crazy distractionness is going on and I'm getting waited on, but I'm having faith because I feel like when I'm in tip-top shape, I'm a super multitasker too. I can do it all. And so I was like, this is somebody that can just do it all, right? They're doing it. I'm not, I double check things. I usually double check other people's work, but in this case, I didn't. As this person processed my stuff, I just snapped pictures of it, like before it disappeared behind the counter so that I could send a screenshot to the winners and they could see their tracking number, right? Because I was not in any state of mind to just type out those tracking numbers myself. I was lazy. And so we did all that. I shot off the pictures, got my oops, went back. And then I started getting messages from two folks, Mari and Sylvia. And they're like, wait a minute, like, because I only showed them pictures of the label that the person made, right? So I put my own label on. And then there was the label that the person would have transcribed what I wrote on my label and made the USPS label. And both of them had mistakes. Mari's was off by several street numbers. And there was also information missing from Sylvia's. And that's what the folks go by when they deliver, right? The main like post people. And so luckily, and when these sort of things happen, like I just feel bad and I immediately like send off gift cards. It's happened a few times. And so I had already been like, oh, this is not good. Apologized to the gals. I was like, listen, I'm like, I should have double checked their work. I had no recall of what my actual labels were. So I didn't want to throw the post office person underneath the bus or anything because I could have screwed up what I put on the label. But when Mari actually retrieved hers, she had to do some work for it. Sweet Mari, retrieved hers and sent me a picture. The information I had put on the label was correct, and it was not my mistake. It was the person who was like saying good morning and eating donuts and all that stuff at the post office that had made the mistake. But anyway, I'm thankful that hers arrived, and sorry that Sylvia's is being resent, although I did send a gift card, guys. So please use the gift cards for anything that you saw, I know Sylvia, for example, was looking forward to getting some of the Charlotte Tilbury I had thrown into her GLAM bag, and I can't reproduce because it was like just one-offs that I had in my restock. But I do know that Amazon has Charlotte Tilbury on their website, so that's it. Hopefully enough of a gift card where you can at least get, something from there. But I don't know. It just goes to show that the universe isn't always looking out, right? But I don't know. We just have to roll with it. And I just hope that everybody, and I don't even know, Janelle, if yours is delivered yet. Goodness gracious. I hope that yours was correct and that you get yours too. Let me know. But so that was definitely a low. It's another sign of just like, I don't know what's going on with the U.S. Postal Service. I guess I could have caught it but there was a line of people behind me. I was completely out of it. I had my notebook. That's why I was like so like back and forth filling it out. I took my time forever over in my little corner filling out my labels and rewatching videos to be sure I was giving the right people the right stuff, and just got up there and it just didn't. The two mistakes were made, and I don't know what can I say? What can I say? Can't say anything, but other than like, what's that? Like, don't worry, be happy bumper sticker. Look at that night. That's like Wet and Wild. Like, isn't that just like a nice little, I don't know. I just thought it would, like, that's just like giving me a nice little pop of color, and that's all I'm going to do. So yeah, it was a good time. Good times, guys. It was a good time despite the trials and tribulations of some of the things that I explained to you that went on. All right. Happy to be back wherever you are, whatever you're doing. Hold on. I hope you're well. I hope your family is well. And I look forward to catching up more over the next couple of days. And when I get my voice back, take care.